For 20 years, Oda taught us to fear the Admirals. Aokiji froze entire oceans. Kizaru overwhelmed the worst generation. Akainu broke the Whitebeard pirates and changed the course of history at Marineford. Whenever an admiral appeared, the message was simple: run. Because the Admirals were the ultimate symbol of the world government's power, but now in the Final Saga, Oda is quietly revealing something terrifying. The Admirals were never at the top. They were just the people carrying out orders. The real monsters were standing above them the entire time, and they're called the Holy Knights. When most fans compare Admirals and Holy Knights, they immediately ask the wrong question. Who's stronger? Who's faster? Who wins in a fight? But Oda isn't introducing the Holy Knights to answer a power-scaling debate. He's introducing them to reveal how the world government actually works. Because power and authority are not the same thing, and in One Piece, authority has always been far more dangerous. Think about the Admirals for a moment. As terrifying as they are, they still operate within a system. Akainu has rules. Kizaru has orders. Fujitora openly challenged the world government because he still possesses a personal sense of justice. Even the Admirals are constrained by something. They are weapons. Powerful weapons. But weapons nonetheless. Now, compare that to the Holy Knights. The moment Oda revealed Saint Garling, everything changed. Because Garling possesses something no admiral has ever possessed: authority over the celestial dragons themselves. Think about how insane that is. The celestial dragons are the people who can summon admirals. They can enslave entire populations. They can execute innocent people on a whim. They stand above kingdoms, above marines, and above almost everyone in the world. Yet Garling can judge them, he can punish them, he can sentence them, he can even execute them. The moment Oda showed that, the hierarchy became clear. The Admirals enforce power, the Holy Knights define power, and that distinction changes everything. Because history teaches us something important. The most dangerous person in a kingdom isn't always the executioner. It's the person deciding who deserves execution. That's exactly where the Holy Knights sit. And Oda knows it. But the most fascinating clue isn't Garling, it's Dragon. One of the easiest details to miss appears during the Revolutionary Army discussion surrounding the Holy Knights. Dragon doesn't frame them as a side problem. He frames them as the real obstacle standing between the revolutionaries and the world government. That's a massive statement. This is Monkey D. Dragon, the man who has spent decades fighting the world government, the man who understands the Marines better than almost anyone alive. Yet when he talks about the future war, his attention shifts toward the Holy Knights. Why? Because Dragon understands something many fans still overlook. Destroying soldiers doesn't destroy a system. Destroying the people who control the soldiers does, and that's exactly what the Holy Knights represent. They're not military power, they're institutional power, they're the mechanism that protects the celestial dragon order itself. That's why their symbolism matters so much. Notice the name, Holy Knights, not Marines, not Admirals. Knights, historically, knights weren't merely warriors, they were defenders of a social order. They protected kings, protected aristocrats, protected systems of privilege, and that's precisely what the Holy Knights do in One Piece. They're not protecting justice, they're protecting hierarchy. That's a completely different mission, and it's why they feel so much darker than the Admirals. Because at least the Admirals can believe they're serving justice. Fujitora does, Aokiji once did, even Akainu genuinely believes in his version of justice. The Holy Knights don't need that illusion. Their job is much simpler. Protect the people at the top, no matter what, and that's where Oda's biggest theme begins to emerge. The corruption of absolute authority. Throughout One Piece, Oda constantly attacks systems that place certain people above accountability. The Celestial Dragons, the world government, the Void Century cover-up, the destruction of Ohara, every major conflict traces back to the same idea. What happens when a small group gains power without consequences? The Holy Knights are the ultimate expression of that idea. They're not merely strong fighters, they're the guardians of a system that has remained untouched for 800 years. A system built on censorship, fear, violence, and inherited privilege. Which is why I think the Holy Knights are being positioned as something much bigger than final arc villains. They're the physical embodiment of the ideology Luffy has been fighting since Chapter 1. Because Luffy's dream is freedom. The Holy Knights represent obedience. Luffy inspires people to choose their own path. The Holy Knights exist to make sure people never get that choice. And when you look at it that way, the final war suddenly becomes much clearer. It isn't pirates versus marines, it isn't Yonko versus admirals, it's freedom versus authority. It's the right to choose versus the power to command. And in that conflict, the Holy Knights are far more dangerous than the admirals ever were. Because strength can defeat an enemy, but authority can convince the world that the enemy deserved it. And history has always shown which one is truly more terrifying. So what do you think? Will the Holy Knights become the true final villains of One Piece, or is Oda building them up for something even bigger? Let me know below, and if you enjoy deep One Piece analysis that goes beyond power scaling and into Oda's themes, make sure to subscribe for more.